everyone. Welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Mike.
And I'm Karen.
And we'd like to wish everyone a Happy New Year,
That's
right?
right. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
And today we are looking at part 1 of New Year's Eve in Times Square.
I didn't go there this year.
I didn't go there either.
No.
But how about Taipei 101?
Ooh, I've been there before.
For New Year's Eve?
I've never been there for New Year's Eve. People Mountain, People Sea. I think you guys know that one. People Mountain, People Sea. There's a lot of people in that area.
Well, I have to say, anywhere you go during New Year's Eve, you're going to see a lot of people, right?
That is a very good point. And of course, going to Taipei 101, looking up at that huge building and watching fireworks go shooting off it for like 10 minutes, it's getting really long these days, is an amazing experience. And if you like that, maybe you want to check out Dubai, which now has the tallest building in the world, and they do something similar. I think they kind of copied Taipei, but their building's much bigger, so okay, they win.
So
but that's
also
another
the
place.
Fireworks, right?
Yep. Huge fireworks show. And for a more spectacular one, maybe Australia in Sydney, which is a beautiful city built around the water on the big old beautiful bridge there. They shoot fireworks off. People can watch it from almost anywhere.
Is that like Sydney Opera House?
Sydney Opera House right next to it. And I think the best would be to see it from a boat on the water.
Wow, I bet that would be really expensive, but I would definitely want to try.
Let's maybe plan for next year.
Okay.
We can start planning today.
You have to start saving money, I guess, right?
Exactly right. But of course, when we talk about New Year's Eve celebrations, the granddaddy of them all, the most famous, the oldest one that's been going on, is the one in New York City. So that's what we're going to be looking at. New Year's Eve in Times Square.
Can't wait.
My dream came true. I just celebrated New Year's Eve in Times Square. My friend and I wanted to be in the middle of the celebration, so we went there early. When we arrived, Times Square was already crowded.
Looking at part 1 of New Year's Eve in Times Square, and like you mentioned before, it is in New York City, right?
Absolutely, and it's definitely a New Year's Eve tradition to go down to Times Square and celebrate the end of the year and the start of a new year. So let's see what the writer is telling us about this experience. They write, "My dream came true. I just celebrated New Year's Eve in Times Square." Yeah, for a lot of people, it really would be a dream come true to get to experience that one time in their life.
That's right, and we have this word dream here, and that is a noun. So the dream we're talking about right now is talking about something that you've always wanted to do. But we can also talk about dream like when you're sleeping, and then you might have a dream of a monster chasing you, or maybe you falling off a cliff. That's also a dream.
I don't want that dream to come true.
But the dream we're talking about right now, that's actually referring to something that you've always wanted to do. So the dream came true. He get to celebrate New Year's Eve in Times Square, right? What was your dream? Or do you have a dream right now?
My dream right now, I don't know. Let's see. I don't really have one right now. My dream is to get through this article so I can go back and keep celebrating the new year. All right, so let's find out what happened to our writer in Times Square.
Okay, well, the writer says, "My friend and I wanted to be in the middle of the celebration, so we went there early." And that is a very, very smart idea because we all know that during New Year's Eve celebration, there's going to be a lot of people. So if you go there late, you don't get to go in the middle and you don't get the best view, right?
Absolutely. You definitely want to be there early. You'd want to look about how to do this right on the internet because thousands of people are going there. And yeah, you don't want to be stuck right at the back, not seeing anything.
And some people really tall in front of you are like, standing there.
I'm sure you can probably find some good tips too, like go here and stand there. You'll have the best view. Because because this is a huge celebration. Thousands of people in New York will be there, and millions of people around the world, like me, watch it on television every year, because a celebration is something where you celebrate. When you're having a party, when something really wonderful's happened, when you want to share this wonderful time, moment, event with your friends, you have a celebration. It could be a little birthday party with your best friends at home or in a restaurant, or you could be out there with thousands of people celebrating, I don't know, your team wins the World Cup, or your country is having a big holiday of some kind. It's a big party. It's a celebration.
Exactly. So the writer continues by saying, when we arrived, Times Square was already crowded, because everyone thinks the same way, right? Everyone wants to get a great spot to watch the fireworks, to enjoy the celebration. So when they got there, it was already crowded. So what does it mean when they say it's already crowded?
Remember that People Mountain, People Sea?
That's right.
That's crowded, basically. I mean, Times Square is crowded on any day of the year, but when you put 1,000 or thousands and thousands of people into a small space, everyone is very close together, we would look around and say, wow, this place is really crowded. If you get on the bus in the morning and it's hard to even get in the door and there are no seats anywhere to sit, you gotta stand up and you're pressed up against other people, that kind of situation is very crowded. So there you go. A lot of people in a small space. But hey, that's New Year's Eve in Times Square. And people travel from all around the world to be there for this, because it is quite a special, special time.
I guess you're right. But when I was younger, I guess I wouldn't really mind being in a crowded place like that. But now, I probably wouldn't want to be somewhere so crowded, right?
I think after the whole COVID experience, many people don't like crowded places. But if we're wearing masks and everyone has their shots or something, I guess it's not so bad. I also don't like crowded places, just because, I just don't like feeling kind of, trapped or something like that. But when it's a celebration, when it's a big rock concert or a big sports event, being in the crowd in a crowded place, it kind of gives you the nice feeling of being with all those people. All right, well, we're going to find out more about this very interesting once-in-a-lifetime experience after our break. However, we were able to get a good spot. At 6 o'clock, they lit the New Year's Eve ball and raised it to the top of its pole at One Times Square. Then we watched the performances on the countdown stage. They were by famous singers and bands, and they were really exciting.
Welcome back, everyone. So before the break, we were talking about how the writer celebrated New Year's Eve in Times Square, right?
Absolutely. They're going to have a really great time. This is a very special thing. A lot of people like to try to do it one time in their life, but the writer did mention that it was very crowded.
That means a lot of people.
Yeah.
Everyone's pushing each other, or maybe, I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you're not the kind of person who likes to wait in line or be in crowded places or take a lot of time to go somewhere, this is not for you. But if you do get there early, it won't be so crowded, and that will really be smart at the end of the night when everything happens, because as we get back to the article, it says, however, we were able to get a good spot. You definitely want to have a good spot if you're in one of these big things, because that will give you the best place to see everything from. Exactly.
And the spot we're referring to is a noun. And a spot basically just means like a small area you're referring to, right? So maybe like the Times Square area, this area is so big. You want to find that one specific spot that has a good view. So you get to see the singers, and then you get to see the fireworks, right?
Exactly.
A perfect spot where you can stand.
Yeah, we want to find a good spot, a good place, or a good location. Another word that we might use. Yeah, you don't want to be behind the building so it blocks all the stuff, or behind a tree so you can't see the singers over there. You want to get a good spot. So here's a top tip. Get there early.
Exactly. And at 6 o'clock, they lit the New Year's Eve ball and raised it to the top of its pole at One Times Square.
Very, very cool. But as we noticed there, 6 o'clock. we're going to be waiting until 12 o'clock. That's midnight. So already, this is going to be 6 hours standing around in Times Square.
But I have a question, though. I mean, like, if you get a good spot, what if you need to go to the bathroom?
You hold it. Don't drink very much.
For 6 hours?
It's very crowded, and of course now, unfortunately, after 9/11, the police are everywhere. They have to keep it super safe. So I'm not sure you can get in and out too quickly. This is, as we've said, something you want to learn about on the internet before you go.
Exactly.
Because you might discover it's much more complicated. But to see that ball covered in those Swarovski crystals dropping down, I mean, that would be wonderful. And of course, the lights. I mean, the lights in Times Square are nice any day of the year or any night of the year, but they would be fantastic at that time. When we think of a light, we think of something that makes light. It could be a candle, it could be a flashlight, it could be a light up above your head. Anything like that that gives you light, that allows you to see when it's dark, that is a light. And we can also use it as a verb. To light something is to make it shine, to make it have light. You light a candle using a match or something like that, and you can light your flashlight on your phone by pressing a button, and it turns on the light. Now you can see. Okay, so there's lots of lights in New York's Times Square, even more lights for New Year's Eve. So what do? You're there at 6 p.m. You have to wait until 12. Well, there's stuff. Don't worry. It says then we watch the performances on the countdown stage. So right below the big ball, they'll have a stage and they'll have performances. I'm guessing mostly singers, dancers.
A lot of shows.
Probably not a guy doing magic.
Probably not. Probably like
see.
singers, like famous singers too.
Pop stars. Yeah.
Exactly. So we have this vocabulary word here, to watch, and that is a verb. To watch basically just means to look at something for a certain period of time and to pay attention to that thing. So we would use this verb when you're watching a show, when you're watching TV, when you're watching a movie, when you're watching performances, when you're paying attention to certain things. So we can say watch something, right?
Exactly.
And that's really important because you don't want to be bored for 6 hours. You want to keep yourself entertained.
Yeah, there you go. And don't worry, you will be entertained with these performances. Now, who's performing? Well, the writer tells us the performances, they were by famous singers and bands, and they were really exciting. I know that Mariah Carey performed there, LL Cool J, the old school rap guy, Journey, the American rock band that does that Don't Stop Believin' song that was pretty popular. Anyway, people like that. There'll be stuff to see, maybe not your favorite singer in the world, but something that will certainly be entertaining.
Exactly, like singer is a noun, so basically just people who sing and then they maybe do it as a career. They're very good at singing and people really enjoy listening to them sing. Are you a singer?
No.
No, okay.
Well, a little bit, but no.
Oh, okay, next time you can sing for everybody.
No,
You're probably really good, right?
That's not gonna happen.
But like you mentioned, Mariah Carey is a really famous singer. Like you guys would probably know Justin Bieber. I know you're not a fan, but he's also a famous singer from Canada. And there are a lot of singers. Whitney Houston, and there's Maroon 5. That's a famous band with singer. Ame from Taiwan, of course. These are all famous singers, right?
That's absolutely right. And they will be there to entertain you, and there will be a lot more because it's Times Square. It's New York. It's the middle of downtown Manhattan, and it's minutes before the ball drops. And that will all be coming up tomorrow. So come back and join us for that. Until then, 5,
See you
4,
next
3,
time.
2, 1. Bye-bye. My dream came true. I just celebrated New Year's Eve in Times Square. My friend and I wanted to be in the middle of the celebration, so we went there early. When we arrived, Times Square was already crowded. However, we were able to get a good spot. At 6 o'clock, they lit the New Year's Eve ball and raised it to the top of its pole at 1 Times Square. Then we watched the performances on the countdown stage. They were by famous singers and bands, and they were really exciting.
Hello, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 dream， 名词，梦想。 My dream is to become a musician one day. 我的梦想是有朝一日成为一名音乐家。下一个单字 crowded 形容词拥挤的。The bus was very crowded, so we had to stand. 公车非常拥挤，所以我们必须站着。下一个单字 watch 动词观看。I watched a film on TV yesterday. 我昨天在电视上看了一部电影。最后一个单字 singer 名词歌手。Who is your favorite singer? 你最喜欢的歌手是谁？接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 come true 梦想或愿望成真实现。我们来看看这个例句。One of Kyle's dreams came true. He bought a beautiful house in London. Kyle 其中的一个梦想实现了，他在伦敦买了一间漂亮的房子。下一个文法 somebody is able to 加动词，某人能够可以做某件事情。able 指的就是能够的，有能力的。Be able to 相当于 can 这个动词。我们来看看这个例句。Larry wasn't able to finish the report by himself. Larry 无法独自完成这份报告。最后一个文法 the top of something 某物的顶端。Top 是顶端顶部的意思。我们来看看这个例句。There is a flag on the top of the building. 那栋大楼的楼顶插着一面旗子。以上就是这一课的重点单词跟文法，回去记得复习哦。我们下一课再见，拜拜。
Hello, I'm Matt.
I'm Josh.
Today we're playing Word Drop. We each have 3 cards with vocabulary words or phrases on them that we need to fit into a conversation as smoothly as we can. And we haven't seen these words yet, so it's going to be a difficult conversation.
Well, let's hope so.
Let's
or
hope
hope
so.
not. Okay, I'll get this ball rolling.
All
Let's
right.
see what we've got here. Okay. So I just got here. Normally I like to take the bus. In fact, probably my optimal mode of transportation is taking the bike. It usually goes bike, bus, then the MRT. Just I find it's a much better way to see sort of surroundings. You get to see new restaurants, all that kind of stuff. And the reason why I like to take the bike is I often find that buses and MRTs are too crowded.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I like, I'm actually exactly the same. I like taking the bike. And yeah, I don't like crowded places, and that's one of the reasons I avoid the MRT. And another kind of place I avoid is like sometimes when you go into a place where there's like a performance, like I was at an event last week and there were so many people there because everyone was there to just, like everyone was there to see this one person, and that was because this person was a very famous singer.
Okay, I do like my fair share of very famous singers. And yeah, that's right. It's pretty difficult to be in crowded places. I think I also like to be in places just more peaceful, lots of nature, those kinds of things. The more space, the better, in my opinion. I don't like being like a sardine in a can. I mean, who does? And often when I'm in these places without people, more beautiful nature, I like to just go there and watch nature.
Oh, yes. Watching nature is nice.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so I think I like to be out in nature as well, and you know, I like to travel a lot. So when I travel, sometimes I like to see natural things and natural beauty. And so I'm really hoping to do some travel in the next year. And actually, you know, I have a dream to travel to Nepal and hike in the Himalayas.
That sounds like a pretty good dream. Yeah, I really love to go hiking in places. I've never been to the Himalayas, but I reckon it would be a dream come true for you and me.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I think that hiking in the Himalayas would be great, and getting, you know, doing a big hike and getting to the top of a mountain to see the view would be amazing.
That just sounds great.
It does.
You're speaking my language right here.
right.
Yeah,
So, you know,
I really want to go
hopefully
check out
soon.
these mountains sometime.